Example A is already completed. You can see that there's a force pushing to the right that has 225 newtons, and there's no force pushing to the left, which tells us that this is unbalanced because the forces are not canceled out. The net force is simply 225 newtons because that's the only force acting on the object and is pushing it to the right, so we'll select the vector to the right. Example B is pretty similar, but just the opposite direction in different numbers. So we see that there are 75 newtons to the left and there's nothing opposing it. So I'm just going to put a U for unbalanced here. The net force is 75 newtons, and I can't just put 75 because that could be 75 ham sandwiches, and we're talking about newtons, so you need to put newtons. Which way is this pushing? Hopefully, you're just bright enough to know that it's pushing this to the left. Example C is where it gets a little more complicated. We have two forces pushing to the right and one force pushing to the left. And these forces are pushing against each other and they're parallel, so they're going to interact. 50 newtons to the right plus 50 newtons to the right means we have 100 total newtons to the right. And our one force to the left is also 100 newtons. That means this force is balanced, so I'm going to write a B for balanced. And the net force is 0 because 100 minus 100 to find the difference between these forces is 0 newtons. We're not going to pick a vector because the force is balanced and therefore is not accelerating this in any specific direction. D is even more complicated, but it works basically the same way. We have 400 and 900 newtons pushing to the left, which means we have 1,300 newtons to the left. Then we have 792, 632, and 100 newtons pushing to the right, which means we have, got to do some math here, 1,424 newtons pushing to the right. Those are not equal numbers and they're opposed, so this is an unbalanced force. And the bigger number is pushing right, so we know that the vector of this is going to be to the right. Now to find the net force, we're going to subtract 1,300, which is the total amount of force pushing left, from 1,424, which is the total amount of force pushing to the right, which gives us 124 newtons. And even if I did the math wrong, I did that right, so still follow that same procedure.